Hey there, wicked lovelies. I'm JJ.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Time.
And you're clocking in for The Witching Hour, a podcast where we have a lot of opinions and we aren't afraid to share them. Today we're talking about the Twilight Saga and why we hate to love it or love to hate it. So grab your elixir of choice and settle in. We've got a lot to share.
I'm so excited.
I went a little cray. So to start, because I know we're all like Twilight girlies here, I need to know who is Team Edward and who is Team Jacob.
So I'll say that I am historically Team Edward, with the caveat there being I'm not Team either of them. I'm Team Bella, so that's where I'm at. But if I'm gonna pick between a werewolf and a vampire, well, yes, I'm gonna pick the vampire.
So you're just like Team Bella, be happy.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm Team Bella, get out of there.
Oh.
It's La Push.
I am Team Book Edward, movie Jacob.
Interesting.
Okay, look at movie Edward. He's not cute. He does not look good in those movies. He looks ill.
No, yeah.
That is fair, yeah.
And like Taylor
very
Lautner,
fair.
that was like his peak, especially when I was like 12.
I mean, I guess that's fair, yeah.
Like looking back, I know that they absolutely destroyed his body and they put him through hell to look like that. But damn if he didn't look good, you know?
I mean, true facts. Okay, so I was Team Edward, just in general. But like now, I would go back and like tell younger me to be Team Jacob, I think. Taylor Lautner's wife, also named Taylor Lautner.
Iconic.
She was like talking on a podcast about how she used to be Team Edward. And then like
Crazy.
now she's married to Jacob. But that like looking back, she just like wasn't really like ready for that level of like man that Jacob could offer like as a muscular like hunk. And like I kind of agree with that. But like right now, because you can't really simp over a teenager, even if Edward is 120 years old, you know? Right
This is
now, I'm Team Charlie. Hello, Daddy.
Yes. What I'm realizing as we're talking about this is that it's not who do I want for Bella, it's who do I want for me.
Yeah.
And
Right.
when I was reading the books, I was Bella because it's first person. So I was like, yeah, obviously Team Edward, I need my heroine. But then when I was watching the movies, I was like, well, obviously Team Jacob because look at Taylor Lautner. And now I don't think I'm quite Team Charlie yet. I'm a little young for him still, but I see where you're coming from.
Not Sarah calling JJ old.
Yeah.
In the middle of the podcast.
fully just sat here, mouth agape. I would say today I'm I'm Team no one. Like, I don't know. For me personally, I don't want anyone in this franchise. None of you are for me. Too much drama.
That's so
and
fair.
I love drama, but not like in my interpersonal relationships. Like, that's not for me.
But I think okay, so I like totally get that. But I think part of why as I've gotten older, have been like, oh, Team Charlie or whatever, not just because Billy Burke is like, delicious to look at, but also like, so part of Bella's complaint in the books, you know, is that like Charlie is very like regimented in his habits and like where he goes and what he does, and on whatever day he goes to the diner and has this for dinner. And I feel like there's something comforting like as you get older of that predictability.
That's
like
crazy.
Charlie's not going to be like, hey, let's go to La Push and cliff dive. He's gonna be like, ooh, let's try like berry cobbler instead of apple pie today. I'd be like, ooh, spicy.
That's
Right.
crazy. She was calling her dad boring and you were like, that's hot.
Well, I do agree with that. I do agree with that. I may be just a baby at the age of 23, but I'm so tired. I'm so tired. And sometimes I just want someone to sit down and watch a movie with, you know? Like, I don't want to go run in the forest naked. Like, I'm sorry, you're doing too much right now for me personally.
I feel like Charlie would have an early dinner with me. We could sit down and watch a documentary together, and he won't get offended if I fall asleep on the couch. Maybe he'll even carry me to bed.
This is really funny to me. Because
You're
I
so
agree,
right.
but it's like insane to hear it come out of your mouth right now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, but that's so much to say. Like, yeah, it's the documentary thing too. Like, yeah, let's sit down and watch Blackfish on Netflix.
No, he's gonna make you watch sports.
He would.
But I'm not
He
watching
would.
them, so I guess we're getting a divorce.
He could watch sports and I could watch him. You know what I'm saying?
If you want. That's only
I'm
interesting for so
disgusted.
long.
I can't be in this podcast anymore. We can't do this anymore. We had a good run. It's over. Cause no way you said that.
Well, it's
Jeez.
kind of on brand though for Twilight, right? Because Edward, that man is a creeper.
Oh yeah.
True.
You're
Yeah,
a
can we talk about
120-year-old man.
Is he 120 or is he only 110? Because I think the books are like, they came out in like 2007.
Regardless, you're over 100 years old.
I will say this though. It's not like he can date people his age.
Well,
Like, I don't like, what do you want from him? You know what I mean? Like, I do think there maybe date like a 20-something-year-old though, but
Or like another vampire. I don't know.
they're all
Oh,
related,
yeah.
or they hate each other.
Well, you know.
that's not true. They're not related and they don't hate each other. They are
They're
pretending
not,
to
like,
be related.
related. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still like it's giving step sibling.
You are 100% like Jessica in the movies right now. She's like, they live together. It's weird.
She's not wrong.
This is as good a time as any to confess I've only seen the first film and I've never read any of the books.
Okay, so
What?
this is gonna be I think exciting for you, honestly, because
You
I
haven't
think there's some
read any
stuff
of
that's
the
gonna drive you
books?
crazy.
I want to read the okay, so at the school I worked at, we had so many like sets of the books that
No, it doesn't matter. The time to read them was in middle school. You missed the boat.
Oh, yeah, I was not doing that. I did watch
That's
the first
crazy.
film in middle school, and then I was like, this is stupid. I don't like it. And then I felt very justified when everyone started hating it. I said, well, me too. But now in my stale age, I've rewatched the first film, and I'm like, this is stupid, but like in a fun way.
It's camp.
It is.
Listen, I'm feeling very personally attacked that y'all were watching these in middle school because I skipped class to go watch them in high school.
Well,
Sorry.
I've never felt so ancient. Call me Edward. I'm just here with a bunch of teeny boppers.
you're
Okay,
110
but for real,
having a chat with
110.
16-year-olds.
Like, why are you crawling through the window and just watching a teenage girl sleep? Like, there are aspects of it that I'm like, yeah, dude,
Yeah.
we need to talk,
Well,
Edward.
even if they were the same age, half of his behavior was insane.
If you've
Yeah.
read Midnight Sun, you know why he behaves that way. It doesn't make it better,
Yes.
but there is an
No.
explanation given.
Yeah, it's like it explains
one of
it.
the
It doesn't
books?
excuse it. It's the first book retold from Edward's perspective.
And she wrote it?
Mhm.
I never
Yeah.
heard of her. That's crazy.
So what had happened was originally she was writing Midnight Sun and she was like sending it to people, you know, so they could read it, critique it, whatever. And someone leaked it. So then she kind of threw a BF and was like, I'm not going to ever publish this. You can have the 12 chapters and read them on my website. And then I think she started to feel irrelevant. So then she was like, okay, we're going to publish now. We're going to finish Midnight Sun and publish it.
I thought it was because Miss E.L. James of 50 Shades of Grey was just like copying her every move and like released her Christian Grey version of 50 Shades of Grey. And Stephanie Meyer was like, hey, I did that first. Don't forget about me. And then she published Midnight Sun. I could have made that up though.
I didn't know that there was a Christian Grey version of 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, that part I did not make up. That is real.
Interesting.
She did his perspective for all three of the books, which is insane. And they're not good. They're actually worse.
I have, I think, a hot take. Actually, I don't think this is a hot take. I think if people disagree with me, they're simply wrong. I really don't like that. I don't like when books, like when an author rewrites a story from a different character's perspective. Stop that. I don't care. You already told the story and you told it the right way the first time, or it sucked the first time and I don't care what you have to say after that. Like, there's no world in which I'm going to reread the same story unless I want to reread a book. You know what I mean? Like, I'll rewatch The Devil Wears Prada, but if they, for some reason, remade The Devil Wears Prada, but from someone else's perspective, like Andy's boyfriend's perspective, why am I watching that? I don't care.
I think
Some
that's
people
fair.
do.
Yeah. I think there are some books where I would like that. Like Scarlett St. Clair has her series of like A Touch of Darkness, A Touch of Ruin. And then she's also doing it from Hades' perspective. And it kind of like fills in some of the gaps of what's happening. Plus it's like two different worlds too, of like the mythical world versus like the human world. But like you were saying that, and I literally was thinking about like, what if J.K. Rowling rewrote the Harry Potter series from like Ron's perspective or Neville's perspective? I could care less.
So stupid.
No, I couldn't care less. I need to say that correctly. So yeah, so that's the deal with Midnight Sun.
Already exists too. But yeah, that's what Midnight Sun is.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. She's like, you're like writing fan fiction about your own work.
Yeah,
that's
which
uncomfy.
Like good for you, but also
you should be your own number one fan, but not to that degree.
Like maybe make a puppet account on AO3, post it there. I don't know.
People be like, wow, you really know the deep insights of this story. We're like, yeah, I'm really creative.
Yeah.
The reason why I think it works for Midnight Sun is because, not me defending Stephanie Meyer, I think it works because Bella, first of all, Midnight Sun is like 300 pages longer than Twilight, which is crazy, but it's because Bella's like asleep for a lot of the things that Edward is doing. And then also, there's a whole part at the end where she's just like in a hotel room for like 2 chapters, and Edward is actively doing things, and that takes a lot of time. Like he's chasing Victoria, or Victoria's chasing him, and then he like flies to Phoenix and then commits crimes driving through the streets trying to get to Bella. And then like we get to see James get torn apart. Spoilers, I guess, if you haven't read Twilight, but who hasn't read Twilight?
Me.
But you've seen the movie.
Yeah, the first one, yeah.
So like Bella also, okay, this was my fiance's complaint when I made him watch the movies with me a couple years ago. He was so bored. He was like, nothing happens in these movies. And I was like, you know what? You're kind of right. And things happen in Midnight Sun. I can confirm. There's a car chase. And again, crimes committed by these people. My favorite part is that he has Emma and Jasper stick their heads out the window to be his rearview mirrors because he like knocked the actual mirrors off. So he has them stick their heads out and then he reads their mind.
Please.
Get out of here.
That is
what?
So ridiculous.
Crazy. Wait, have you read Midnight Sun?
I very fastly skimmed it because I was like so into it whenever she released it on her website. But then like reading beyond that, I didn't need all of that. But I don't remember that at all.
No, it's I recommend it because it's just completely insane. Like, it's crazy. And like when they're in the meadow, Edward is like doing math in his head. He's like, if there are this many bugs in this square feet, and he's like reaching back through his head. And what's also so crazy about the book, I'm sorry, this is just turning into a Midnight Sun tangent because apparently I'm the only one who knows anything about it. But it's so crazy. I have to spread this knowledge. As soon as he falls in love with her, he knows he's not going to kill her. So the whole rest of the time in book 1, where he's like pulling away from her and like trying not to get too close, it's not because he wants to drink her blood. As soon as the meadow is over, he knows he's not going to drink her blood. He knows he's strong enough for that. It's literally because he's horny. He's like, I will break her if we kiss any more than 1 second because like my animal urges will take over. No, I'm completely serious. You guys are both just sitting there with your mouths open. Yeah.
Okay, no.
It's literally
It's
literally just because he's so horny. He's like, I will kill her if we kiss too much. It has
to
nothing to do with wanting to drink her blood.
I need to speak.
That tracks when you get to Breaking Dawn and he's like breaking bedposts and shit.
Yeah, but like from Bella's POV, she's like, oh yeah, he's just trying so hard not to drink my blood. What a gentleman. But like, he's not. It's because he's horny.
I need to say, there's this thing in fiction where people feel lust so strongly they become violent, and I don't like that at all. I don't like the implications. And I know it's always, for the most part, consensual. Still don't like it. It's just weird to me. Like, what do you mean that, I mean, I get he's a vampire, ooh, whatever. But like, what do you mean that you're so horny that you're gonna break something? Like, that's crazy to me. Like, that's crazy.
Because he's like so strong.
Right.
You know? Like, that's the reasoning behind it, is he's so strong. He's gonna forget to be in control and he's gonna hug her too tight.
Yeah, I don't like
and
that.
Crush her
That
spine.
grosses me out.
I mean, I totally agree. I remember though being like in high school and being like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. It's the most unrealistic expectations fed into our young, feeble minds.
And then everyone's like, why are you in therapy now?
Well, Stephanie, I've got bills
Go
for you to
read Twilight.
pay. Here's your invoice, bestie.
So let's redirect. back to Twilight, because it's still Twilight, but we're just going to kind of redirect a little bit. I don't think this is a hot take. I think this is a hard pill to swallow for some people, and that's that people hate Twilight because they think it's cool to hate things that people love, particularly things that young girls love. I think there's like a misogynistic aspect to it of like, it's making women and girls happy. Ooh, no, we don't like that. They need to be sad in the kitchen making me a sandwich.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. I just don't like when people do that with anything. Like, oh, everyone's hating on this? I hate it too. And they don't even interact with the media, so they don't know. It could have been their favorite thing in the whole wide world, but they don't know. And I do think it's very much so steeped in misogyny. It's crazy. I mean, One Direction, same thing. I don't like One Direction because I don't like that kind of music, but I don't go out of my way to be like, or I didn't, because it's no longer cool to even think about One Direction. But when they were around, it was so cool to hate One Direction. Be like, oh, that's just a band for girls. Okay. It's a pop boy band. What do you want? Like,
yeah, NSYNC was the same thing.
Right.
And Backstreet Boys, like.
I think it's less about wanting women to be sad and more about not trusting the opinions of women. Like, oh, well, if teenage...
Oh, that's even worse.
I know. But I think that's what it is. It's like, well, if teenage girls like it, then it must be bad because teenage girls don't know anything and only have bad opinions. Like, I think that's the misogyny of it. I don't think that it's like girls have to be sad and in the kitchen. I think I think we're I was going to say I think we're past that, but I think we're a little to the left of that.
We're adjacent.
Bella actually is in the kitchen a lot in the Twilight series. That is an issue I have with it. Is like Charlie's incapable of taking care of himself, so she's like, I need to make my dad dinner or whatever. And then when Charlie does try and cook her dinner, like he gets all the noodles stuck together and then they have to pour spaghetti sauce on top of it and literally eat this glob of noodles and spaghetti sauce like with a fork and knife. Like,
yeah, Bella's fully parentified. Like, she also takes care of her mom.
Yes.
And that's a whole thing, is that she's like, yeah, my mom's my best friend, but also I am her mom. And she's, because there's even a line where she's like, yeah, my mom said that I was born middle-aged and I get older every year. It's like, ew, why are you putting that on your kid?
And like, she's so worried to go with Charlie because she's not sure that she like trusts the guy that her mom is with to really take care of her the way that Bella has taken care of her.
Yeah, honestly,
it's very strange dynamic. Seriously.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me. Not a fan. When were these written?
Early
2008, I think the first one came out.
Yeah, early 2000s. Or I guess it's the mid 2000s. I don't know.
Interesting.
No. The first one I think came out in 2004 because I remember I read them in 2009 and I have the hardback of Breaking Dawn because that had just come out and everything else was the paperbacks.
Oh, you're right. 2008 was when the first movie came out.
I also have the movie tie-in paperback, but only for book one because that's the only movie that had come out.
So
lovely with them like on the front, all like looking fierce.
This does all make a lot more sense now because that is very 2000s.
Well, Stephanie Meyer's also Mormon. Is that on your list of things to talk about, JJ?
Not explicitly, but it's gonna end up coming up with some of the things.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is related, especially when we get to like talking about the demystification of the vampires. So like a lot of the hate for these books, there was an article on Screen Rant that said that while some praised its combination of fantasy, romance, and horror in a way that was appealing to a teenage audience, others criticized Meyer's writing, underdeveloped characters, and poor storyline. And I think the important word there again is teenage audience. Like, this was not being written for middle-aged women to like lust over, although they could with Edward because he's still twice their age
in the body of a 17-year-old.
So do with that what you will.
See, this is where it gets so complicated and like there's a mountain of nuance here that even I can't unpack. Like what are we I just don't understand because like his mind is that of 100 and something, but like when we have our laws protecting minors, is it because of their minds or their bodies? Like that's, I guess, my question.
That actually is a really interesting question.
Because a 17-year-old human person has the mind of a 17-year-old and is immature and cannot make good decisions when being groomed by an adult. So, but a 17-year-old looking person who's 120 in the mind would be the inverse. close in terms of the maturity gap. So
I'm more and more understanding and agreeing with a TikTok that I saw where it's like, my issue with Twilight is that Bella's dating a predator and then her daughter's also dating a predator. So Charlie's a cop with a daughter and a granddaughter who are dating predators.
Yeah, Time, are you aware of the fact that Jacob falls in love with Bella's daughter?
Literally
what do
fresh
you
out the
mean
womb.
by that? Wait, okay, hold on. So I knew about the imprinting thing, right? Because that clip went everywhere. Are you saying like she grew up and dated Jacob?
No, I'm saying that Bella gave birth to a half vampire infant and Jacob saw that baby and fell in love with it immediately.
It was like, you're mine.
Did they
imprinted
date though?
Maybe.
Ultimately, yeah, like that's the implication. And like he talks about like, I'm going to be there for her as like whatever she needs, whenever she needs it. And Alice has a vision of them in the future and Renesmee and Jacob are together.
So I did not know the imprinting thing was like him falling in love with the baby.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like a mate situation.
What the fuck? What the fuck? What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
That's a baby. In all senses. In all sense of the word, a baby. Like it's not a baby that's 120. It's a baby that's a baby.
Yeah. Okay. And so the weird thing is too that like when Bella is pregnant, like Jacob talks about how he just has this like pull towards her and like wanting to protect her and make sure she's okay. And so like he just assumes that it's because he still doesn't trust Edward and he doesn't trust the vampires and whatever. And then like she births the child and he's like, oh, that's why I like was so drawn to you. Like it was Renesmee pulling us together because like.
So, okay, wait.
Yes.
Is the canon explanation that they were destined? That's nasty. That's gross.
She tries to make it better by having Renesmee like grow super fast.
That's
like,
worse.
Well, yeah.
Her brain.
No, her brain
Her
grows fast
experiences.
too.
But her experiences.
She does
have
any
like a
experiences.
truncated.
Like it's giving Poor Things.
Oh gosh, you're right.
What's going on here? And Poor Things, whole can of worms, but that was at least like commentary. I know Twilight is not commentary on that specific thing. So it's just the trope. It just is dumb woman, hot man, inexperienced.
Dumb baby.
Dumb child.
Dumb baby,
Yeah.
hot man.
Well, and you know what's crazy is another one of the wolves imprints on another literal toddler who is just a toddler. She's not growing fast. She's just a baby.
Yep.
What do you mean by that? Stop.
I mean,
and they like kind of like, correct me if I'm remembering wrong, but don't they like kind of bond over it too? Like
they might. I don't remember.
the fact that like
The
they've
Predator
imprinted
Club?
on these like
They have a predator club.
What's so funny is
it's
like
La Push, baby.
no. Stop. She tries so hard to like make it okay by saying like, well, obviously there's no sexual feelings at that age. Like he's gonna be her brother until she's old enough to like fall in love with him back.
And then it turns into Jamie and Cersei, you're my lover, you're my brother.
No.
And
no.
it started from it started from literal infancy for one of them and adulthood for the other.
Yeah, no, it's like definition grooming. It's crazy. And she's like, but it's so romantic. They're meant to be together.
And it's even crazier because Renesmee, from the moment she like is conceived, essentially, has no say at all in any romantic relationship.
But why would you want
at any point in her life because of that?
Why would you want? That's another thing that's in the books. It's like, well, why would you want someone else? Because they're perfect for you. They'll be everything for you. Time is so upset.
So the baby, which by the way, what kind of name is Renesmee? I just want to say that for the record. For everyone listening at home, I have been thinking that this whole time. But she has zero agency at all. So she's being groomed and has no choice. Like groomed from birth, from day one.
By her mom's best friend.
And her mom's fine with it. I mean, I know she was mad about the imprinting at first.
So Bella...
And also the Nessie thing.
It's weird.
You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster?
Yeah.
You named your daughter Renesmee. Like, something had to be done.
Yeah. Renesmee, hold on. Her middle name is Carly, right? Because it's Charlie and Carlisle combined. Renesmee Carly, I thought was her name.
It is her name. I don't have a problem with Carly.
Yeah.
I think that's cute.
No, but I just need time to know.
Oh.
So, like, it's the combination
So
of
it's
Edward's mom,
Renesmee,
Esme, and Renee.
Carly Cullen.
Wait,
I
do
would
you want to know?
bully her
Wait. Do you want to
if we went to
know
school
what
together.
the baby would have been named if it was a boy?
And what she was going to call it?
Yeah.
She was going to name the boy Edward Jacob.
And call him EJ.
I am so delighted that we are getting like a real-time reaction because I have never encountered someone
This
learning
is
this information for
amazing.
the first time. This is everything.
Same.
I don't understand. This is okay. Hey, this is bad writing. And I don't mean in the sense that it was written for teenagers. I mean it's bad. Like that's nonsensical. I can't think of a single human person who, if found within a love triangle, would have a baby and say, "What if I name it both of their names?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your husband be like, yeah, that's acceptable.
And then having that baby, and then the other guy being like, "Yeah, I'll just take that. That's fine. That's a good second place prize." What in the Rumpelstiltskin? Like, what is this? I don't understand. I'm confused.
Mormons. I really think that's what it comes down to is like this weird Mormon. Because listen, there's also some weird pro-life stuff that happens in Breaking Dawn.
Yes.
Where
Half
Edward
of
is
them are
like,
dead.
no, you don't understand. Because she's pregnant. It's the pregnancy
Yeah.
book. So they're like, oh, well, this baby's a monster and it's killing you. We have to get it out of you. And she's like, how dare you? It's my baby and I'm keeping it.
I mean,
And-
your choice, I guess.
No, it is your choice, but it is also like,
it is.
Medical
it is
emergency.
killing her. Yeah. And she's like, no, this is fine.
Okay, now hold on, because in connection to this, I feel like I need to further blow Time's mind a little bit
Yes,
regarding
please.
the birth of Renesmee. So Bella's dying. Like, her spine is broken. She's
Is she a
dying.
vampire yet?
Okay.
No, she's a human.
Okay.
And so, like, the same way that Renesmee, like, after she's born, she grows very quickly, Bella's pregnancy is, like, super fast also.
Yeah, it's like 8
which
weeks or something.
The logics.
Oh,
Yeah.
What? Did you say 8 days?
8 weeks.
I was,
But still.
Yeah.
No, it's
well,
like some
yeah.
real
Yeah, it's
body
like
horror.
a month
yeah.
a week.
That is body horror.
Bella essentially like starts screaming, get him out, because she thinks Renesmee is EJ at this moment. So she starts screaming. So Edward rips Renesmee out with his teeth.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
He cuts Bella open, C-section style. And then the vampire baby amniotic sac is like tough and leathery.
No, it's not tough and leathery. It's like diamond hard like their skin.
Okay, even worse. Because he then goes, I always read it as like tough and leathery. I don't know. Maybe it's because like in my brain, I'm like, that's unacceptable. That's too hard. I don't know.
No, it's because it's like vampire skin. That's the problem.
So yeah, he uses his teeth and he rips it open and yanks Renesmee right on out of there.
Huh? Like a cat?
And then Bella's dying, so he gets a syringe of venom and stabs it into her heart and injects the venom.
Which is also
Venom's
so
from
trying
funny.
to save her.
Venom
From him.
what?
It's his venom, which I have to talk about this for just
Like
a
his
second because
blood?
this is actually no. So this is not addressed in the book at all. But I'm imagining him just like spitting into this like test tube to fill up the venom.
Or like, you know how with a snake they like put their fangs like on the edge of a thing and like get it out? Yeah. So the venom comes from their teeth.
No.
Why do they have venom?
Right?
No. So
Or is it their saliva?
okay, so this is something that I should not know, but I do know because I know too much about this world. All of the fluids in a vampire's body are replaced with venom. So it's their spit, it's their like blood,
Semen?
it's their
Like their tears.
it is their semen. It's all of their fluids have been replaced by blood or by venom.
But
so,
okay, but if they're vampires, it should have been replaced by blood.
Like their blood, yes.
Like they
Yeah, they're-
cry blood and stuff.
no.
Like that should have been what it
not,
is.
Not here.
Well,
Why
no,
are we
isn't
giving
it-
vampires venom?
so that they can turn other people into vampires.
Yes.
That's what their blood is for.
Well, okay, so the difference, because I did actually write this down. So like we've just talked about Dracula, and like the way you become a vampire, a la Bram Stoker, is you're drained of your blood, you're killed by the undead, you become undead.
Right.
The way you become a vampire, a la Twilight, you're just bitten, and the venom goes into your bloodstream. down. And then it essentially like starts reacting to all of your like bodily fluids and everything and taking over.
So are they dead?
Yes. Their hearts don't beat.
Yeah.
And they don't need to breathe.
Okay.
They don't need
and
to
can they
blink.
choose whether or not they turn someone, or do they have to drain them fully in order for them not to become a vampire?
They don't drain them at all.
Oh, that's actually a really good point. I think if
What do
they
they
bite
eat?
them and drain them, then they're dead before the change can take place, so it doesn't happen.
Yes.
So if they're turning someone, they don't drain them at all.
Yeah.
And then if they're eating someone, they just drain them, they die, and it doesn't matter if there's venom in there.
Yeah, because you have to be a little bit alive to like circulate the venom through your system for it to transform
Right.
you.
But if you're the Cullens, you're vegetarian vampires, which means you just drain the blood of animals instead of humans.
If they bit like a deer but didn't drain the deer, would the deer turn into a deer vampire?
I was just thinking that. I hope so.
I think so, yeah.
That's never established.
So he turns Bella into a vampire as she's dying after giving birth, and he does it with the syringe.
She's like hemorrhaging. Straight to the
Like
heart.
does a
Bam!
Pulp Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
What in tarnation?
But so here's the thing is like, because when the venom is like in you, right, it'll heal all of your imperfections and whatever. But Bella, they were expecting that she was going to like be writhing in pain, blah, 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 screaming. But Bella is a strong woman. So she just bears it, suffers in silence.
I thought it was because she had
and
morphine
they think she's
in
dead.
her system. I thought it was because of the morphine.
See, I don't even remember all of the minute details because it's just so bizarre. It's so wild.
I don't
you
know why I have like a memory for this, but I do. I think it's because she had morphine in her system and the morphine kind of like pinned her, like she couldn't move. And then once the morphine like wears off, then it's like a whole thing where she's like, I knew that I could move if I wanted to, but if I moved, I would start screaming and never stop. And I couldn't do that to Edward. I couldn't let him see me in pain like that. So I just laid still.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah. So Edward though thinks she's dead. Like they think she's dead.
They can
like
hear
they're
her- they
not
can hear her
certain that
heartbeat.
she's changed.
No, they can hear her heartbeat.
But then her heart stops and she still hasn't moved. And then there's a little bit of a panic of like, what if I did it wrong?
Yeah, but for like 2 seconds, and then she opens her eyes, and then it's fine.
And then all of a sudden she can see the dust motes from across the room.
What the fuck is this?
They can also see an eighth color.
Yeah.
I think
What
it's
do
like
you
they
mean
can
by
see
that?
like I think they can see like ultraviolet rays, which is never addressed again. But like when Bella first opens her eyes, she's like, I can see the light like reflecting off of someone's teeth or something. And she's like, there's another color on the edge of the spectrum that I don't have a name for. And it just, that never comes back.
Okay, so they just grow more cones in their eyes?
I'm going to say, don't worry about it.
Maybe it activates them.
It doesn't matter because it's insane. And it has no effect on anything whatsoever. Actually,
Well,
that's not
so
true because
that's
she can see in the dark
interesting
now.
Because in Interview with the Vampire, which I'm currently reading, the vampires see light differently, and like they can see longer. Like they can tell it's about to be daytime before humans can. Like they see the ultraviolet better. So there is, I guess, something to that. But I think in middle school, if we were supposed to be reading vampire fiction, it should have been Interview with the Vampire.
No.
Yes, it's better, I fear.
Well, just because it's better doesn't mean that it's appropriate for 12-year-olds.
Twilight's not appropriate for 12-year-olds.
Well,
Everything
I
you've
just-
just told me, and you're going to sit here and even attempt to say so?
I think that a lot of this stuff went over my head as a 12-year-old. I think that as an adult, with the Twilight Renaissance of the last couple of years, more of this has been brought to the forefront of my brain. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was crazy, actually. And I just kind of let it happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's with everything.
Interview with the Vampire is a lot more explicit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think
but
that's what I'm saying is like the Mormon-ness of it all, like, is what makes it slightly more appropriate for kids because like they do have the whole like we can't have sex until we're married, and like Bella doesn't get super horny until book 3, and like I think that is, maybe it's just because how I was raised, but I think that that's like a little bit better than like smutty scenes for 12-year-olds because even the sex scenes in Twilight, they're very like flowery. There's nothing like
Okay.
They're very fade to black.
yeah, and I didn't realize until I reread the books as an adult that like there even was like sorry, I'm just thinking about like my parents listening to this episode. I didn't realize that there actually was like insertion, but there is. But it's but it's written in such a way that, like, as a kid, it went right over my head.
I think where I'm coming from is at public schools, in high school specifically, Sarah J. Maas is in there. Like, all of her books are in there.
In high schools?
Yeah. And to me, that's a bit much. But they're in there, and the high schoolers are reading them. And so, in my head, I'm like, okay, well, if that is acceptable for some reason, then Interview with the Vampire is, like, way tamer than that.
But I think it's not acceptable.
I agree with you, but the government apparently doesn't, is the thing.
We don't have time to unpack all the government's problems.
No.
We don't.
This is supposed to be
Anyway,
about Twilight.
My point is just that there's better vampire media out there.
But okay, listen, because there are two things that, okay, so talking about just the weird things that happen in Twilight and then like we just kind of forget about them. There's this moment where like Bella's like, you don't eat? Like, I don't understand. And he like tells her that they can eat, but that he's gonna essentially have to like hawk it up later. So he like eats pizza, I think it is, with her at lunch. And then he has to go puke it up later and like regurgitate it because he can't digest it.
He actually doesn't tell her that that's what he's going to have to do. That's a Midnight Sun.
No, but we know as a reader.
It's a Midnight Sun edition.
I don't like that.
Also, wait, hang on. No, also in Midnight Sun, this is a little bit of a tangent. Bella's like crying because he's playing piano so beautifully, and he like wipes a tear off her face and puts it in his mouth. And because he can't digest anything, he's like, even if she decides to leave me, this part of her will be inside me forever.
Don't like that either. That's an eating disorder, is what Stephanie Meyer has described.
Oh, Bella also has an eating disorder, as an aside.
But it's like crazy to me that using bulimia specifically as like a plot device is interesting.
It's not even a plot device. It's just kind of like, again, it's so many of these are just little fun facts. Like, they have no bearing on the plot whatsoever. It's just like, yeah, I took this bite to prove a point to Bella, and now my brothers are going to make fun of me because I'm going to have to hack it up in the backyard later. And then we just move on.
In the backyard, like a dog.
I might have added that. I don't remember if that's what the book actually says. But that's how I was picturing it.
But okay, so that actually brings me to another point before my other point, which is there's this whole thing about Jacob, how he smells like wet dog to Bella, you know, or to the vampires, because that's what a werewolf is. But there's actually issue with the fact that we're calling them werewolves because canonically werewolves change during a full moon, and the Quileute pack can change at will. Like, once they have their first change, they can change at will. So they're not werewolves. Mm-hmm. They're shifters. And that really annoys me. Professor Lupin did not die, so we could just start calling anybody a werewolf.
They do talk about that in the book, though. In Breaking Dawn, there's a whole thing where it's like, well, we killed the Volturi, like, we killed all the children of the moon. These aren't true children of the moon. They're just shifters.
But everybody glosses over it and is just like, no, they're werewolves. Like, well, because, yeah, the Volturi don't know what they're talking about.
Because they call them werewolves in all the other books.
Yeah.
Time, why are you so upset now?
I don't like this. Like, I don't... I thought I was going to walk in here and be convinced to read all the books and watch all the movies and have a good time. And now I'm like, I don't want to.
No, you need to do it for the memes, I think.
Listen, here's the thing that, okay, wait, there's so many things. I do need to circle back around to the fact that Edward got Bella pregnant, right? But he's frozen in time, even though the venom replaces all of their fluids, right? So how is his semen still able to fertilize?
Yeah, that was my question.
If it's now venom.
That was my question. It doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any
also,
sense.
There's no blood flow. So how the hell is he supposed to get hard?
Okay, so I know the answer to this. Why am I literally a Twilight scholar? I hate this for me.
This is for real, I think, my favorite episode that we've done so far, because I have questions that I think are ridiculous, and Sarah's like, actually.
Actually.
I'm crying.
Wow.
It's because half of this stuff is because there's that girl, Sarah Elizabeth, on TikTok who I'm obsessed with, and all she does is talk about Twilight. And I have watched so many of her videos. But part of this is also just because I guess I'm a good reader. I don't know. I just know this stuff. It's in there. So, okay. So the thing specifically...
Wait. So you've called me old and illiterate in this episode.
No.
Yeah.
I have read these books so many times. These were my comfort books in middle school, and we do not have time to unpack why that is, but they were.
And that's true. And also, JJ's old and can't read. Both of these things are true.
I think that there's no reason to retain this information, so your brain is protecting you by, like, filtering it out and, like, making room for new things. My brain did not do that. So anyway, back to the subject of vampire erections.
Yeah, my brain definitely said, let's dump this info. We need room for more anxiety.
Yeah, so I actually have a fun little anecdote about this. So I was reading Breaking Dawn. I was rereading Twilight when me and my fiance had first gotten together. And I had to read him some of the sections of it because I thought it was so funny. And he was like, how do vampires get hard? And we came to the conclusion that they had a penile bone like monkeys. That is not true.
Oh,
That is not true. That is my headcanon.
Oh, but it's a good theory.
Miss Stephanie Meyer had a solution for this. Instead of having blood pumping through their veins, they have venom. So it's a venom erection is what it is. That's all.
But their heart doesn't beat.
Listen, I don't know the science.
Like, nothing's pumping anywhere. There's no heartbeat.
Yes, but the
engine doesn't
answer,
work.
is that it's venom.
His
But it's
brain
not a satisfying
said,
answer.
I want you.
Uh-huh.
And then it told his pee-pee, erect by my venom. And then he impregnated a woman.
Yes. So for the semen thing, I've heard a couple of theories about that.
I want to see Sarah's internet history.
No, this is literally, I did not seek this information out. It came to me. Okay? Blame my TikTok algorithm. Okay.
She didn't seek it out, it came.
No.
Stop. Stop it.
So here are the theories regarding...
I need to distance myself from you.
It's too late. Here are the theories for how Edward was able to get Bella pregnant. Number one, and this is my favorite theory, is that he just hadn't ever nutted. So they're Mormon, remember? So he's not going to be masturbating. So he's just holding on to this ejaculate from when he was turned into a vampire. And when they had sex after marriage, that was the first time that he had ever came. So that semen was like preserved.
It's like prehistoric.
But it still worked because he was turned into a vampire. So he was like, everything was just preserved the way that it was, which means that if his sperm was viable at age 17 when he was turned, it's still viable 100 years later.
So he was literally like a walking sperm bank for a while.
Yeah, but like because...
Is
For
what you're telling
Yeah,
me.
load.
literally he had one
For
shot.
one
single
load.
There was no margin for error.
As funny as that theory is, there is evidence in the books that is not how that works, because there is that one vampire guy who got a couple of women pregnant with vampire babies, and he was able to do it multiple times. So the more likely explanation is just that it's just venom. It's don't worry about it. Some bodily functions
So then,
still work.
is there sperm in their tears?
No.
Is there
No, so the reproductive organs are still functioning essentially as they would, making
Okay, but then there...
sperm, but instead of it being ejaculate, it's venom instead.
So
Listen, I'm
here's
doing my best here to make this make
You're
sense.
doing great. It's not your
It's
fault.
not.
It's
No.
not your fault. Here's what I'll say, because I have to, like, this is not making sense biologically, and I know vampires aren't real, whatever. But the only way I could see that working is if the venom made contact with the egg and, like, immediately mutated it.
Yeah, something like that.
And so, but also, is the venom, does it have the vampire's DNA? Is it originally their venom? It's not. It's, like, are they producing new venom, and how are they doing that?
Well, so
Because if not, then the venom in Edward is Carlisle's.
okay, so I think
And the venom in Carlisle is someone else's.
when the
like-
venom spreads through your system, I think it changes all of your fluids into vampire fluid, so it's still your DNA. It's just transformed.
Okay.
Kind of like Spider-Man.
Okay.
That's what we're going with.
This is deeply uncomfortable. I can't wait for your parents to listen to
My
this.
parents are not allowed to listen to this episode. I'm saying it right now.
Shout out to JJ's parents.
Oh, yeah, my mom's going to be listening to it. Hi, Mom. Sorry we talked about vampire
Mom.
penises for so long. Because they, like, turn into porcelain, right? Diamond-like. When they're kissing...
No.
I saw
no,
this
no,
video of,
no,
like-
no. Your noise suppression is making it so we can't hear this horrible, horrible sound.
Oh, let me adjust.
No!
Oh God.
No, canonically...
We're doing
I like-
prop comedy, everyone.
It's not comedy. We're giving them all the information they need to know, okay? And that is that this, like... Can you hear it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's like the sound of them, like, kissing and
Uh-huh.
touching and whatever, which, okay, so also time, because you've not read that far. After Bella and Edward get married, Carlisle and Esme gift them a cottage, and they are just going at it like rabbits as newlyweds do, but they can hear it at the Carlisle.
I don't
or
think
the
they
Cullen
can.
houses.
I think that they're just out of earshot. Because I think they have to run to the cottage. And they can run really fast.
Well, but doesn't Emmett like make a comment about having heard it?
I think Emmett's just a jackass.
And Bella gets all like awkward about it.
I think Emmett's just rude because I feel like I remember them saying something about like, yeah, we made your cottage just out of earshot so you can fuck as much as you want.
Either way, I mean, can you imagine being like, is that a rock slide? No, Edward and Bella are fucking again.
Yeah.
It's not a national emergency. We're fine. Just loud.
Actually, you're making such a great point because that's the whole thing with the baseball scene is like we can't play baseball unless it's thunderstorming. Wait, so then how can they fuck all the time?
Do they break?
No, they don't break, but like the slamming into each other's bodies in the baseball sounded like rocks colliding and thunder. So like maybe they're just not having sex that vigorously.
Or they're in Forks, Washington, where it's raining all the time.
You're so right.
So people just think it's thunder.
I hate this now, also.
I still love Twilight. I don't know what's wrong with me.
I know, I do too. Well, I hate this new information specifically. I still love Twilight because, okay, so let me explain this to you. Because when I read them the first time, I loved them as they were because I was a child and I didn't know any better, okay? As I got older and I watched the movies, I was like, these movies are very bad. Were the books this bad too? And I kind of went through, a hater moment as I got older and I was like, hey, these books are bad. And then in the pandemic, there was like a Twilight renaissance because Midnight Sun came out in 2020. So people were rereading the books and we were just enjoying them for the campy nonsense that they were. So that's where I'm at now, where I'm like, these books are fucking insane and I love them for it. I am no longer saying that they are high literature. I am no longer holding Edward and Bella up as like, this is what love looks like. I'm looking at them for what they are and I am appreciating them for what they are, especially because they were written so earnestly. Like, you can tell that this is what Stephenie Meyer actually believes love should look like and how babies are made and all of that stuff. Like, her beliefs are so infused into the story. I think it makes it even better because they're so crazy to anyone who isn't brainwashed by the LDS church. Yeah. I see them as like art. They're like anthropological artifacts, and that is why I like them now.
Well, and I can appreciate that, and I see it, and I just think that's what it should be.
Well, and like, that's how people are about the movies too. Like, I love to watch the movies with my best friend, shout out Chelsea, and we'll just literally watch the movies and talk shit about them the whole entire time. Like, we are fully loving the experience, but we cannot help ourselves from like pointing out the things that are campy or weird or just things that it's like, there's this one line where Mike Newton just walks in and he's like shaking off a hat or something and he's like, how you liking the rain, girl? Like, that should not have made it into the movie, but it did. Like, it's moments like that where you just watch it and you're like, it's La Push.
La Push, baby.
So you just accept it. Also, shout out to this book for teaching me that it's irrevocably and not irrevocably, because I needed that knowledge when I was younger.
Yeah, true.
I
know, time's like processing. I see the gears turning.
Yeah. I'm just flabbergasted. I don't know.
Okay, but speaking of being brainwashed, right? Or the LDS, right? Mm-hmm. Not LSD. LDS.
Not
LDS community. Well, this was a trip of a book. I think also a lot of that does come from the fact that, or is evidenced by too, the fact that Bella is essentially like a self-insert by Stephenie Meyer, especially in terms of description. Like, I copy and pasted from her website. She says on the Twilight FAQ, I left out a detailed description of Bella in the book so the reader could more easily step into her shoes. However, so many people have asked this question. I have decided to tell you what she looks like to me, but I want to stress, Bella's looks are open to interpretation. In my head, Bella is very fair-skinned with long, straight, dark brown hair and chocolate brown eyes. Her face is heart-shaped, wide forehead with a widow's peak, large, wide-spaced eyes, prominent cheekbones, and then a thin nose and narrow jaw with a pointed chin. Her lips are a little out of proportion, a bit too full for her jawline. Her eyes are darker than her hair and more straight than they are arched. She's 5 foot 4 inches tall, slender, but not at all muscular, and weighs about 115 pounds. She has stubby fingernails because she has a nervous habit of biting them. And there's your very detailed description.
All of that is in the books, by the way. So don't give me this her looks are open to interpretation. Shut up, Stephanie. Not you, JJ. Not you. Shut up, Stephanie, because like that's bullshit. Like all of that is in the books. This was she clearly added this after like some backlash about like Ariel being black or something, where she was like, yeah, Bella can look however you want.
Right? She doesn't look like me at all. I did not look at my own reflection while writing her.
Yeah, I did not look at my own reflection and then describe her beat for beat, except, oh no, that was going to be really mean. I'm not going to say that.
But I think I know where you were going. And yeah, agreed. But I do think also, so that is something that a lot of people do take issue with, is that like Stephanie Meyer's essentially describing herself, like down to the fact that Bella's always wearing these long ass khaki skirts. She loves a khaki skirt moment.
Khaki.
Yeah. And Edward is like so turned on by her khaki skirt.
He really is. It's crazy.
It's bizarre. And like a lot of people do take issue with that, of like her trying to be like, oh, this is her description or whatever. And then just kind of like, oh yeah, I guess she looks like me. Like, no, I don't think it's an issue at all. I think authors very frequently, just out of writing what you know, especially if you're writing in first person, you are going to end up putting your own characteristics, your own features, or the things that you notice about yourself into your characters. That's very common. I think a lot of the issue comes from it so clearly being a self-insert, but a denial of that. Like, she's wearing a khaki skirt, Stephanie. What teenager willingly wears that many khaki skirts in Arizona?
Well, they're in Forks at that point, but
she brought all her clothes from Arizona.
this is true.
Also, that comment about like, you're from Arizona, why are you white?
They don't say it like that.
Yeah, she's
They're like, if you're from Arizona, why are you so pale?
Yeah, why are you so pale? And she's like, I guess that's why they kicked me out. Awkward.
No, she says, why do I know this? Why do I know this to the point that I'm correcting you? She says,
I'm quoting from the movie.
oh, okay. In the book,
Yeah.
she goes, oh, it's because I'm an albino and nobody laughs. And she's like, I guess they don't understand sarcasm in Forks. Also, fun fact,
Both are equally cringy.
correct. Her favorite movie is Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which is bananas to me because like that is not reflected anywhere.
No. And like relatable, okay?
going
If you've not
on?
seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, you need to go watch it specifically to watch somebody galloping on an imaginary horse while somebody behind them follows clip clopping coconut shells together. It's peak comedy. I love Holy Grail.
But like, in what universe is Bella Swan that funny? Like that she would appreciate that movie?
I mean, seriously, considering the fact that she's constantly comparing herself to Juliet Capulet and Catherine from Wuthering Heights, like there's no freaking way. Also, if that is not the most basic pick-me shit,
True.
to be like, yeah, I'm Juliet Capulet. He is my Romeo. Like, she heard Love Story by Taylor Swift and said, this is my autobiography.
She really did. She really did.
Yeah. It's insane.
What a nightmare. What a genuine nightmare. I can't believe I'm being put through this right now.
I still think you need to read the book.
Everything I'm learning right now is against my will. I do not consent.
Well,
Neither did we initially. We just started reading the books and then here we are. And
I'm so sorry that you're having to learn all of this against your will, but also I think that it's important information.
I agree that it's important, and I'm glad I'm learning this information in the sense that I don't have to learn it later.
well, and you're not just gonna like go pick up all the books expecting something like that it's not.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, I was expecting something that it's not, and I was gonna at some point read the book, and I'm very glad I
No,
didn't.
I still think you need to read them.
Because now if I read them, I will, but I'm saying now I'll have, my expectations are tempered.
And there's still gonna be stuff in there that's gonna like blow your mind. So we haven't told you everything.
This is true. I do want to say that I think that the part in New Moon, regardless of how we got there and how stupid it is that Bella literally falls into a deep, dark depression over a regular breakup with a guy that she's been with for like 4 months. By the way, never ever look at the timeline of these because I think they're together for like just over a year when they get married at age 17. Well, at age 18.
Well, she turns 18, right?
She does turn
like,
18,
right before.
yeah. But no, in New Moon, there are like 4 blank pages that just like have the names of the months on them. And I'm like, that is genuinely one of the best literary depictions of depression that I've ever seen.
I do
agree.
hear about those pages a
Yeah.
lot.
Well, because they're like one of the only good things.
When I read them, I remember thinking like, oh, that's like so edgy and cool. Like, I love these pages or whatever. But they really are like, as a device, really cool. I like it.
Yeah, I was like, it hit me. I was like, oh, you're doing something.
You're cooking in here. I have a question. Did I hear correctly at some point in my life that Renesmee is a half vampire?
Yes.
What the fuck?
What do you mean?
So does she have blood and venom?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I don't think she does have venom. She just has blood.
But she was conceived by venom.
Mm-hmm. She's immortal.
She is immortal.
So she ages to a certain point and then stops aging and then is immortal from there on out.
Okay, what point is that?
Adulthood.
I think it was like 20 or something. Yeah.
It's like whatever your like physical peak is.
Oh, my brain. What do you mean?
And Jacob still ages. Slowly, like slower.
No.
But he does still age.
As long as he keeps transforming into a werewolf, he's also immortal.
I missed that completely.
Yeah.
Is that why his dad is no longer a wolf?
His dad was never a wolf because there weren't vampires in Forks at that
that's
time.
right.
And the
They
presence
had
of the
to, yeah.
vampires triggers the werewolf transformations.
Yeah. It like
So-
sets out a little spidey sense. And then the wolves are like, orf.
Can Renesmee eat food?
Yes. She can also drink
So
blood.
she's
She does both.
Yeah. When Bella's pregnant with her, she just loves to drink cups of blood.
this individual, this baby with no agency, is also completely overpowered. Like, does she have any weaknesses besides her familial connections?
Wow. Her skin is not quite vampire hard. It's like harder than human skin, but not as hard as vampire skin. She doesn't sparkle in the sun. She just has like a gentle glow. She's just like in between a human and a vampire. She's the best of both worlds.
She's Hannah Montana.
That's ridiculous.
She
I've never
also-
seen such an example for Mary Sue in my life.
Yes.
So also, Edward's power is that he can hear people's thoughts. Bella's power is that she's a shield, so no one can get into her brain, probably because there's not much there. Renesmee's power is that she can put her hand on your face and implant her thoughts into your mind. And then Alice can see the future. Emmett is super strong. Rosalie is just pretty, and Jasper has battle scars.
Jasper can also manipulate
Because he's a
your
conservative
emotions.
Confederate
He
soldier.
is a Confederate soldier.
He was,
Yeah.
yes.
By the way, hey, that is so unnecessary.
It really is.
That was not necessary, and it's fucked up. It's fucked up. It is.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this as well. Billiam from True Blood, same thing. He didn't need to be Confederate soldier. Why are we making vampires Confederate soldiers? It's not interesting. It just makes them bad people.
Yeah, like you could have gone for the other side,
Yeah.
but you said Confederate.
My favorite part is how Jasper just
For no
develops a southern accent.
And they're in Forks, Washington, so he could have been from anywhere.
He could have been from anywhere. Well, and that's kind of the thing is like they do move around. They have like different settlements that they hop to.
Right, but I'm saying he could have fought in the war, but on the side of the Union.
He could have
Right.
been from England. Like he didn't even have to be American.
Well, that would have been worse.
Well, okay, he could have
Yeah.
been from Japan. Like he could have been from anywhere.
Right.
What country hasn't committed
Right.
war crimes? Like he could have been from anywhere.
Right. I'm just saying
Switzerland?
it's just a little crazy to be an American and write a story that features an immortal Confederate soldier.
I want to say she even like looked through Confederate like lists of fallen soldiers to find his name.
She really did go places.
She did.
What else are we talking about?
What else is there?
here?
What else
'Cause
did you want to cover?
We've talked about so much of this, like just wild stuff, but Twilight was on the banned books list in 2010 for violence.
For violence?
Mm-hmm.
I guess there is a decent
What
amount
being
of
violent?
violence.
Yeah, but what about pedophilia?
Well,
Grooming?
What about softcore porn?
we know lawmakers don't have a problem with any of those things.
She said what she said, folks.
Also, it's really not. The porn is not. Actually, okay, I want to talk about that for a second. Because, sorry, I'm losing it. There's a part in Breaking Dawn when Edward and Bella are like having sex or whatever, because they just like have sex all night after she turns into a vampire because like they can finally give in to their urges or whatever. It like, and Edward like doesn't have to hold back because he's not afraid of breaking her anymore, whatever. And there's a line where it's like, oh, there was a pause in what we were doing and we had a little conversation and then we laughed and it did interesting things to the way our bodies were connected and we didn't talk anymore for some time. And I'm like, how are your bodies connected? Because like, what does that mean? What does that mean?
I think she thinks that they laughed so hard it made him rub against her.
No, because it specifically
then-
says the way our bodies were connected. So like, was he just like inside of her? Were they just like sitting there?
Oh, soaking.
Yeah.
They were soaking. Like
Yeah, I
humans.
think so.
No,
yes.
because they
Yeah.
were already having sex. Like it was like mid-sex.
Right, and then they stopped to soak.
That's crazy.
That's like an actual thing
Well, but I know
that people do. Yeah.
But like,
They took a sex break to soak, yeah.
I hate that.
Do they still have nerves that work? Like,
Yeah.
because
I just don't think
like,
she thought, this is my biggest problem. I don't think she thought enough about the fantasy biology of it all.
She thought
I
a lot
really
about
appreciate but she didn't think about it correctly.
That's fair.
I really appreciate when an author can do informed, correct research with biology and anatomy to find the gaps where you could implant fantasy. She did not do that correctly because she was too busy looking at that list of dead conservatives. So
I'm also just like realizing that like Edward got Bella pregnant with venom. Should that not have turned Bella?
No, because it didn't get into her bloodstream.
But would it not have soaked through her like uterine lining?
No.
Moms and babies share the same blood flow before
That's
babies
also
are born.
true.
You know what? I don't think Stephanie Meyer knew that.
And this is what I'm talking about. Like, if we're gonna have vampires and humans making babies, there has to be some way in which it at least sounds viable.
You're so right. Like, this was written
Where
by...
I shouldn't have to suspend all of my disbelief to enjoy something.
Right.
But you have to remember that this was written by a woman with a Mormon level sex education. Like, she just doesn't know these things because she's Mormon and she lives in Utah.
She had Google.
She's not going to Google that. She'd
Or
go
Ask
to hell.
Jeeves or whatever. Like,
No, you can't Google this stuff.
so, okay. So she can't write it because she'll go to hell. She can't, like, look it up because she'll go to hell, but she can write it.
I don't know. I made that up.
But I'm just saying, like, there's no reasoning here. Like, it's just nonsensical. It's just stupid.
There's literally no reasoning. Like it's giving you were only taught abstinence.
Well, yeah, I think that she just
Yeah.
doesn't even recognize the gaps in her own education. So she's like, well, what I know is correct and true. That is now the basis for my fantasy world building. And then we, an educated group of people, look at it and we're like, that's not correct. That doesn't make any sense. But she doesn't know that. And she doesn't think she needs to know that.
Well, I still love Twilight. That opinion has not changed. This is not another Taylor Swift episode where I'm questioning my reality at the end of this. I still love Twilight. I definitely hate to love it sometimes and love to hate it, kind of on both sides. But I do think that people need to stop yucking other people's yum. You can definitely question the scientific aspects of it, but don't yuck their yum. And I love to make fun of it, but I also love to love it. I can't help it. It's nostalgia.
Yeah. But I also do want to say, don't yuck someone else's yuck either. Let people not like things too. It goes both ways.
I mean, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Because I don't care if someone likes Twilight, but if I don't like Twilight and they're mad at me for it, well then let's fight. So you're right behind the 7-Eleven.
Definitely yuck people's yuck, though, if they are imprinting on a baby. Please.
Yes, yuck that.
That is a
yum,
yuck that everyone
yuck.
should yuck.
That was Jacob's yum. Sorry.
Get away from me.
I also still love Twilight. I think that it's a valuable piece of culture from the 2010s. It's a relic. I think that you need to appreciate it the same way. This is going to sound insane. Bear with me. We need to appreciate it the same way that we appreciate like the classics, in that we recognize the problematic elements, which we did not even, well, we got into them a little bit, but like we got into very surface level, like don't be a pedophile. Like we did not touch on the issues of including a real Native American tribe in your books and just like completely appropriating their culture and making up legends for them. Like don't do that.
So I've only heard about that because obviously I haven't interacted with this media much beyond just the very first film, but I have heard about that. I just don't know enough about it to call it out. Like I have no idea what she did exactly. Just know she did it.
Yeah, well, and that's really all you need to know. Like I think that like with other, I'll say it, Twilight's a classic. Like with other classics, you need to take it at face value. You need to like see it for what it is. You need to acknowledge the problematic aspects of it, but that doesn't mean that you can't still enjoy it. As long as you recognize the problems with it and you don't perpetuate those issues, you don't internalize those issues as part of your worldview, you don't let it influence you in a negative way, I think that it's perfectly fine to enjoy bad media, and I do.
I didn't like delve that deep into the problematic aspect of it because I figured at some point we will probably do like a book specific.
Sure. Well, but that's part of the
Look
hate
at
to love it,
Twilight.
right? Is that it's like I don't want to be associated with this woman. Like me and Stephanie Meyer would not be friends. I don't support her worldviews. I don't support a lot of her opinions. And yeah, I think that there are a lot of good reasons to hate Twilight. And that is why I hate to love it, because it's bad. It's real bad in a lot of ways. And, you know, I like to think of myself as better than that, but I'm not.
I'm honestly just still reeling from Time's reaction.
Yeah, that was excellent.
Yeah, you got the unadulterated time in this moment.
I was not expecting
Yeah,
that we were
that's
going to be
exciting.
imparting this information to someone who did not know it.
Yeah, everyone listening at home, if you've never seen or read Twilight, please spare me your thoughts and prayers.
So yeah, on that note, thank you for clocking in for the witching hour again to share your opinions on our opinions and share whether you hate to love Twilight or love to hate it. Head over to our social medias. All links and information can be found in the show notes, and we will see you next shift.
Bye.
Bye.